Hey everyone! I recently got invited to perform a live commentated Vexx speedrun on GamesDoneQuick's channel for their weekly hotfix shows. This run you're about to see ended up being a new world record by almost 4 minutes due to some new movement strats and cleaner gameplay across the board. I've never uploaded a speedrun explained type of video to this channel before, so if you want to see more stuff like this, let me know by subscribing or leaving a comment down below. Without further ado, enjoy the run! Okay, what's up everybody? Satan, thank you so much for having me. I am Jaxler, and this is Vexx, the game brave enough to ask the question, what if Mario Sunshine was a good video game? So this is going to be an any % run, so my goal is just to beat the game, start to finish as quickly as possible. Playing on the GameCube version, normally in like the last, I want to say, like 10 years of this game's existence, nobody freaking, it did not matter at all what console you ran on for the most part. But then I found mid-air high jumps infinitely on the Xbox version. So now we're gonna play on the GameCube version. So, my bad. You'll notice a couple other things as well here at the start. We're gonna play without a memory card in. That's for two reasons. One, it's gonna make, it would basically avoid a autosave after every MacGuffin that we get. And then it also is going to set up for a glitch that we're going to do about in 50 minutes to an hour into the run. We'll talk about it once we get there. But that's also a big reason we're playing on the GameCube version. You also see that I got an input display. There's going to be a lot going on kind of like on the controller side of the thing that's kind of hard to describe without that visual aid. So, and also as well as we get further into this, if y'all have any questions about any of the stuff I'm doing, feel free to type it in the chat and maybe Satan will be able to share with me any questions y'all have. But this run's really hard, so sorry in advance if I go a little non-verbal at the function at times. But Satan, are you ready to go?
Absolutely, and I can be verbal at the function anytime.
All right.
Don't you worry.
Perfect.
We got this.
All right, so time will start when I select continue without saving. So let's get this party started in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
Thank you. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do, shoutouts to Crow3893 for finding this. If you unplug the controller, it allows you to quit Dream immediately and skip like a 20-second long cutscene. So, huge find, believe it or not. And then right off the bat, we're gonna see some pretty wild movement. So, this game has a high jump, long jump system very similar to Mario Galaxy, actually. And so, what makes this game very unique is that due to a bug, if you press jump and then crouch, instead of crouch and then jump, you do an initial jump and then the high jump or long jump. So you get more speed and distance within the same amount of the animation. And that's not going to sound like it's going to do all that much, but it's actually going to allow me to do things that are not possible otherwise. Like this strat right here at the start called door skip, which hopefully if I do this right will be about 10 seconds faster than the setup. Nice. That wall jump right there is really persnickety. So, all right, sick. That's like low-key, like, you start the run, minute in, get the trick, continue. Miss the trick, I just might as well reset. Alright, so that saves about 10 seconds doing the sort of intended route to get to that hidden waterfall cave. Our first objective, or Wraith Heart that we're going to get, is water rings. There's these 3 sort of water tube things that have a ring somewhere at the top that we need to swim through. And so this is where we're going to, hold on, right here, I'm gonna try to use the wall right there to sort of avoid having to manually control the camera there. And then right here, you're going to see me do kind of a not intended technique here. This is a little bit tricky on the height, so give me just a second. Turn around. Nice. So you're intended to swim to sort of the top of that tube and then fall down into that ring. But what I did there is one of those extended high jumps where basically there are certain animations in this game that after they happen, the game allows you to buffer a short hop out of them as sort of a, like, oh, I messed up, here's a way to save yourself mechanism. It's really nice. But with that initial hop, you can also exploit it with this kind of like high jump, long jump tech I've been talking about for the extra distance. And those are the extended high jumps and long jumps. And you can do them outside of just a grounded state. You can also do them out of the animation for jumping out of the water. And so I was able to use that to kind of get a high jump where I'm normally not supposed to be able to. And that's going to kind of be the backbone of a lot of the movement stuff that you'll be seeing me do. All right, Wraith Part number 2, soccer. Unfortunately, we have to deal with physics. So there's a little net that we have to kick this into. Unfortunately, this is a little bit after the World Cup ended, so we can't do as many bits and gags. But essentially, there's going to be a lot of enemies that are going to try to body block us. And so essentially what I'm going to try to do is, when they get within a certain range of you, they'll kind of lunge at you, and they'll get kind of locked into their charge animation for a little bit. So I'm kind of doing that on purpose to sort of reset them. I think that'll go in. Nice. And so on top of that, if you get a long jump going and you know the ball's going to get into the goal, you can actually snag the heart during the spawn animation and save a couple of seconds. So again, apologies for all the words right off the bat. There's a lot going on with this game. Our next objective here is soul jars. If you played Mario 64, this is essentially the red coin star, but instead of 8 red coins, we need 6 of these gold soul jars, which will cause a wraith heart to spawn somewhere in the level after we get all of them. So we can get them in any order, but we want to order it in a specific way so that when we get the last one, we are as close to the wraith heart as possible. And so this is where we'll start to see sort of the extended long jumps come into play. So you can actually kind of see it a good bit on the input display as well here in a little bit, where every time I'm doing one of those long jump inputs, I'm pressing the jump button, and then within 1 to 4 frames, I am pressing the left shoulder button to crouch. This is giving me that initial jump and that long jump combined together. So that, like right there, for example, if I weren't doing that tech, I would have not have been able to catch that bridge cycle right there, so I would have had to either wait for it to run all the way around, or I would have had to swim in the water. And so we're gonna climb up here real quick. Climbing animation's really slow, so we're gonna be doing these kind of like climb jump animations to get up walls faster. And then right here, you're gonna see me wait for this enemy to turn around for a second, and then I'm gonna kick him in the air, and then hopefully, exactly like that, oh, he got knocked away. So we'll just do the 2-man setup. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm beating up these aliens here on purpose to build this rage meter. And so this rage meter essentially allows you to do this install animation, which makes you really mad, and then you shoot fireballs for a bit until the meter ends. But that's not what we're going to use it for. We are going to use it to do extended high jumps and long jumps out of midair, because when you activate the rage meter, it actually counts as another animation that you can jump out of. So I'm going to shut up for a second, because I'm going to go for something called Sky Island's Fast Cycle. If I do this right, I skip a ton of platform cycles, and this will look really sick. And it's also an example of... oh, we might be out of time now, but we will still attempt it. I should have known better. Okay. So we are going to pivot and get a different heart, because I should not have gone for that. Happens. All right, so we're gonna get Sundial instead, which is also another really tricky one. And this is going to make my splits look really, really awkward here on my end, but we're gonna go for a different thing here instead. We're gonna try to go for the Sundial Fast Cycle. Normally I save this for the end of this world. Okay, we got it, nice.
Huge.
So that lets us grab this platform right here, and then we can wait for this platform to come up. And then we can do a midair. So you saw that I activated the rage meter right there and then instantly canceled it. That essentially allowed me to get another midair long jump and avoid having to wait through those cycles entirely. So do I? Yeah, I guess I just do. God, this is awkward. I haven't had to save it like this in a run in a very long time, so this is going to get a little uncomfortable for me to actually, no, I should not do this right now. What we're gonna go do is Rock Suit. So Rock Suit I picked up at like the very start of the run here. Give me your juices, thank you. So one of the things with a lot of this rage jump tech is essentially whenever you pop the rage meter, you always at least use a little bit of the meter. So after you proc the rage jump, you can't do it again until you land on the ground and then hit another enemy, essentially. So that's something I have to keep in mind when I'm routing a lot of these, like, hearts and stuff like that and things that I'm trying to do. Because not only am I planning for, oh, I need to do this hard trick, this hard jump, but I also need to think about the fact that I'm gonna need to make sure I have my rage meter refilled so that I can do the next thing I want to do later on in the run. All right, I'm gonna give Sky Islands another try because I used Rock Suit is a really easy spot where you can just go ahead and refill your rage. So let's give this another go, shall we? Really want to show this off. This trick is sick. That looks better already. Might still be tight. That's more like it. There we go. And so if you do that movement perfectly, you catch that cycle right there. It saves about 15 seconds. So, all right. There we go. And so now we're gonna go ahead and do sumo. So I'm doing these a little bit out of order, so sorry if I get like a little bit messed up here. But essentially doing that strat, you can see right there, I had to essentially delay my fireball, and every time you shoot a fireball, you can do like a third midair jump if you use the fireball, right? But it costs a lot of that rage meter. So I actually did like 2 fireball jumps in the portion of it, so I'm gonna go ahead and beat up these 2. Oh, I missed the first one. And basically every time you hit an enemy mid-air again before it lands on the ground, it builds up this combo meter. So in the spots where you really need a lot of meter, you can kind of sort of build that up and chain it, and that's why we tried to do that like 3-guy setup when we did the Soul Jar split as well. So this is Thumo. This fight in particular is really easy breezy. You might notice that Wraithheart up there and be like, well, hey, you've got this cool like mid-air double jump tech. Why don't you use it to get that heart? Great observation. The unfortunate thing is that a lot of hearts in the game aren't actually like interactable until you do whatever like sort of mission or quest is associated with it. Not every case, but most cases. So unfortunately we do have to take care of business here with sumo in order to progress further. And then we can go ahead and do a high jump into it so that the frame that it does become actionable, we can take care of it. Okay, and now we're gonna go do top of the tree, which is normally kind of like I would say the intended first heart to get in the game. That's kind of the one the game is like, hey, go get this heart. This is like the easiest one to get. And so this will be another really classic example of just like how powerful this rage jump tech can be. Because the game, you're not supposed to have the ability to jump multiple times in midair. Game only intends for you and was designed around a single high jump, right? So we can use that to completely break the intended platforming. Like that. And so you're intended to use these platform cycles to get up here, but that is going to be the end of Timberdale, just like that. And even with that mistake, we're not too far behind, so that's one of the things that makes this run really hard and also like really exciting and engaging, is that when you make mistakes, like you saw when I first went for Sky Island's fast cycle, the consequences are devastating because the levels are so vertically built. And that's why I keep coming back to this game, you know? Alright, we are now heading into our second world, which is Dragon Reach. This is the first and only time we are going to be doing the Shards mission. This is essentially the 100 coin challenge, essentially, from Mario 64. But unlike Mario 64, you can't... Once you get this heart, you don't stay in the map like you would in Mario 64. So they're kind of independent objectives that you can't really route with like another Power Star like you could in like those kinds of Mario runs, right? So because of that, this is really the only one that we see in the any % route. If you want to see the rest of them, check out the 100% run, which I'm in the process of learning. Super cool run. But this is kind of where we'll start to see where, if you look at the input display, sometimes you'll notice that I don't always do like the maximum delay between jump and crouch, or you'll see me sometimes like pull back on the stick in weird ways. That's because I'm kind of controlling my momentum a lot of ways. It's really easy to accidentally jump over a lot of these shard hitboxes, but on top of that, sometimes I'm intentionally taking shorter extended long jumps or affecting my aerial drift on purpose, so that when I land on the platform, I'm spaced in a better position to avoid whatever obstacles I'm about to come into. So this is really helpful as well for dealing with avoiding ledge grabs. The ledge grab animation was low-key the thing that caused me to miss Sky Island's fast cycle the first time I went for it. Like, it loses like at least a second and a half. Yeah, so like right there, if I had pulled up to the ledge just like that, there we go, and then we uppercut to get out of the way of the spawn hitbox in order to get these shards. And okay, yeah, that's gonna be like just a casual 5-second goal. Nice. Okay.
Ooh, let's go, Jaxler.
Alrighty.
Killing it.
So I'm feeling myself a little bit, so I'm gonna go for a new strat that I worked on in the practice room at GDQ. Normally, you would do this without what I'm about to do, called a fakey fireball. So first of all, do a rage jump to get up here, skip a bunch of platforms. You'll see this opener a lot. And then I go ahead and kick that imp in the head on the way to refill my rage, and let's see if I get this. Oh, I beefed it a little bit. Okay.
Oh,
so we're going to...
I can see what you're doing, though.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and do it the old way instead, which is you do a extended high jump off of that. Oh, hold on. And then you just do a regular rage jump. So that's the old strat. I've been essentially working in a fireball jump in on top of that so that I avoid kind of basically taking an elbow turn, essentially. But that's okay. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, you know?
Indeed.
That's kind of my thing with showing off this game, is just because it's so hard and can be so volatile if you make mistakes. I'm just like, I'm going to go for all the cool stuff and we'll see what happens. I want to give a huge shout out, though, to a runner by the name of Bell, who I believe was responsible for the route you'll be seeing me doing here. We're going to be getting the soul jars here, but we're going to be, for the first time here, seeing a trick called a fakey fireball. This is going to take a little bit of my concentration here for just a second because of the lag. Nice. And so essentially what I did is I did a fireball input midair to get another extended high jump out of it. But I shot the fireball within a very tight window of activating the rage install. For a short period after you activate rage, any fireballs that you shoot do not cost any additional meter. So by doing that, essentially, I was able to get a third midair jump with like half of the normal cost. And then we do a big midair long jump just like that, and that's soul jars just like that. And a gold to boot. Okay, that was like a gold by like a 10th, but hey, we take those, right?
Absolutely.
But, oh, sorry, did you have something you want to say, or?
No, just celebrating you. Two golds already. Let's keep racking them up.
Well, thank you, I appreciate it. Part of these are somewhat fake golds a little bit, because I had been prepping for GDQ on the Xbox version, and essentially what I discovered on the Xbox version, the rage jumps I've been doing mid-air, essentially on the Xbox version, it's possible to get a rage jump in such a way that you don't actually spend any meter on the GameCube version, but it's like omega impossible, as I like to joke. On the Xbox version, not a couple of days before I left for Minnesota, I discovered that you can buffer the rage cancel, which allows you to essentially do infinite mid-air high jumps, which is really funny, but it kind of defeats the purpose of what I think makes this run really cool. So I'm good.
I was wondering if you were going to mention it, though.
Yeah.
You can just jump over everything in this game, but, like, would that be fun?
No. Yeah, and once I actually get around to doing a run with that, it will probably lead to a leaderboard split. But don't worry about it too much. Alright, so we're going to do the same opening here again. The imp in particular in front of this like building can be in a couple of different spots depending. But hopefully if we get here quickly, we can do that extended high jump. But now we're going to get kind of, again, similar to top of the tree. This is kind of the one they expect you to get. And if you saw how I almost just got clobbered by that fireball, you get that if you make the cycle. Yeah. Nice. And now we're going to be doing our last Dragon Reach Heart. So low-key, it's kind of wild because like the first world, Timberdale, is like low-key one of the hardest in the entire run, and it's the first world. And then you have Dragon Reach, which is just a giant movement fundies test. And in a couple of spots here, like right there, you're kind of seeing me avoid going for long jumps right away. It can be really easy to accidentally get a high jump because it's not based on your speed, it's based on your stick input, right? All right, so this sub area, there's supposed to be 4 chains that you're supposed to slice. But what if we just rage jumped over it? So that's one of the shortest hearts of the game, just because we can completely exploit that. That's one of the first strats you learn. Yeah, easy clap.
Good stuff.
And that's going to be track and reach. So next we're heading to Neverglades. So Neverglades, the first heart is like a bit of a bruiser because of it. It's a strat that we can't use the fakey fireball technique to shoot one for free, just because of the way the platforming is going to work at the end of it. So because of that, if I miss it, it can be kind of soul crushing. I want to kick this flower. Thank you. But before we even get to there, there's these 3 hexagon keys that we need to get in order to open the door to the sub area. And even though this takes a little bit to do, there's actually 2 really fast Wraith Hearts that we can get with it. I think I failed to mention this, but there are roughly 81-ish, it's complicated, Wraith Hearts in the game, and we need 60 of them in order to reach the final boss. And so because of that, there's like, basically the rule of thumb is without like loading times included, if it takes about less than 2 minutes to get the heart, it's probably fast enough for the route. If not, it's probably too slow. Which is unfortunate, because there's 1 heart in this level that's like really cool in Hundo, but neither here nor there. Okay, we're gonna start with the Sand Temple climb, where I'm trying to avoid using my rage meter at all by using these extended high jumps to get more height than I intended to. So essentially, this Sand Temple is supposed to rise further out of the sand after hitting 3 buttons, but we're gonna do a regular rage jump. I haven't canceled the rage yet because we need to do another one into that and get the heart just like that. So you can kind of see that if you miss that, you just have no rage whatsoever. And there's a very specific reason we do that one first. First of all, we're like 20 minutes into the run, right? If that's the hardest part in that entire like level or area, then of course you want to get that one out of the way. But it's also really convenient, and the reason why we're able to comfortably spend all of that rage is because of the next heart we're getting called Statue Eyes. So this is the only heart in the game that actually requires you to interact with the rage mechanic to solve the puzzle. Essentially, you go into the rage install and shoot fireballs at a statue's eyes in order to activate it. We're also going to see the wingsuit again here as a little bit of a shortcut. And they give you this cute little well of rage that instantly refills your meter. So we can go ahead and use that, get a really quick Wraith Heart, and get all of our rage resources back without having to kick any enemies in the head. And that saves a lot of time for us. So you saw that wingsuit, right? You are normally intended to use that wingsuit to get this next heart. Basically fly directly into it is how you're intended to do this. But we're going to try to do this with another fakey fireball here. So, and then but before I even get there, there's these rotating platforms. And this is kind of where it comes into play, where I'm kind of doing some adjustments to my long jump timing, just based around the platform cycles. So it is possible to do that without the fireball jump, but it's extremely difficult, and it usually requires one of your other midair resources. So those are kind of 2 really stressful hearts back to back, but now we get a little bit of a break with Electric Fish. We're just going to be swimming and guiding these like electrified fish essentially through a ring, and that'll give us a heart for some reason. So Satan, I don't know how familiar you are with this game or with this run, but what's your reaction been to seeing like some of these strats or like in motion?
Well, I sort of watched a little bit of you played, both just, around, but also at the Disability and Neurodivergence special, actually, last year.
Right.
And I can just tell that you've refined the movement so much more. Yeah. There's so many more little movement strats and little things that you're doing. And I'm just incredibly impressed by it all. The one thing that I've also done a little research on for this game before today was this is a creature game, even if you might not initially think of it. Do you know the lore, Jaxler, for this character you're playing as?
There's demons, like these shadow wraith demon things that like killed all of civilization. And we'll be seeing a little bit of the history of it actually in this next part, believe it or not.
Ooh,
but
good timing.
I'll let you finish that thought though before I explain what I mean. But
well, yeah, for sure. But like, this isn't also just like we're fighting creatures. We also are a creature.
Yeah.
Do you know what kind of creature we are?
We're a wraith, right? Or like some. I don't quite remember. It's been a long time.
That is extremely fair. No, we're something called a Valdani, which are a race of kind of wolf-like people with 4 fingers on each hand that were slighted by the Shadow Wraith. This guy's grandpa was killed by one of the Shadow Wraiths, the big evil bad guy.
All right, and so we kind of get to see a history of that a little bit with maybe my favorite, like, single section in the game. This is the soul jars for this level, but it basically takes place across all these tapestries that kind of talk a little bit about the game's events and kind of the shadow.
That's so cool.
Right, like coming through and just ruining everyone's day. So there are little things I'm doing here with my movement as well. You'll see me use this flip kick a lot, very reminiscent of the aerial kick from Pac-Man World 2, if you're a ball knower. Mr. Hart, there we go. But like that, so like that, for example, we actually do all of that rageless, not only because we don't have any of our rage meter refilled yet, but also just because we don't really need it. If you don't need to spend the resource, don't use it, right? There's a lot of spots where it's just faster to get a reset on the ground and just get a long jump going that way. With way less risk. And so now at the end of Neverglades, we're going to go ahead and get that second Wraith Heart in the sub area. But this one's just in the middle. Again, you're supposed to raise this temple out of the sand, and then kind of like all these platforms make sense, right? So if you do this quickly enough, you do get to avoid that like blocker from getting in your way. Cut it a little tight there, just because you have to do very specific things with your aerial drift there, not to bonk your head on a bunch of very strange looking geometry. But now we're going into Tempest Peak Manor. So I like to call this the Chibi Robo World, because this is like a giant, like inside of a home or house, but you are very small. So look, I had to make the joke, okay? I'm a Chibi Robo runner at my core. But the kind of gimmick of this whole level is that there's that guy. He's very rude. So if I fall, he'll probably just like kind of like nothing personnel kiddo me, and then I explode. So I gotta be really careful. All right, so you have to do a giant U-shaped bend to get around this piano and get inside of it for the sub area. So with that rage jump there, which is a bit tighter than that looks just because of how some of the lag works there, pretty tough. And then right here, we're going to skip the first part of this sub area by grabbing onto this pole earlier than expected. And you'll see me kind of jumping on and off of it again. And then right here, you can actually just land on top of the pole through the piece of collision. And that lets you skip more of the sub area.
So sick.
And then if you get through here quickly enough, you can do this where you catch that. That was kind of like the back half cycle, but we'll take it. But that's like, sometimes I don't know what to say when I'm commentating this game, because it's just like I can't help but feel like it sort of speaks for itself a little bit. But also it's just like, I don't know, I just get too excited and then I talk and then I invariably mess something up.
There's no such thing as too excited. Hearing about, you know, your perspective on the game and all the mechanics and everything is awesome.
Yeah. All right, we're 2 for 2 over the top of the piano. So the reason we're coming this way again is so that we can set this thing called a sundial. So this game was extremely ambitious in production, and then they were like, wait a minute, we have to make sure we don't go under. So they walked back a lot of the scope. And so there's a whole day-night cycle system, essentially. And the way it translates into the Vexx that we got is that there are, in some levels, these sundial portals. We did one of them in Tinderdale, but they're only open at certain times of day, and you can use that sundial platform to essentially set it, and then you make your way over to that sundial. We want to take care of that right away, because of something that we hopefully don't end up seeing, called the sundial glitch. And so you saw right there, I kind of just ground pounded midair. That usually means I was late on my crouch input. And that can be something that really messes people up when they're learning this game, especially because it's like, oh, I need to reverse the inputs. Especially like people who have like started with something or are more familiar with like the traditional Mario runs, okay? Is like you do kind of like the opposite of the input that you're generally expecting, right? Alright, and then right here. Alright, so I actually made a pretty good cycle here, so I was actually able to opt for not using my rage there at all, which is kind of nice. Sorry, normally I go for a fakey fireball there, but because that moving pole kind of goes back and forth, I was able to grab it and just jump up to the top there. Okay, so this is a strat that this part is normally pretty chill. I found a new strat here, and I kind of don't have the rage I need here, low-key, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit this guy in the head, and I think we're just gonna... I have the order of hearts slightly misrouted in my split, but this will kind of give you the general idea. We want this guy to be out of the way, so we can do a long jump here. Let's see if we get this. Yeah, let's go! Awesome!
Whoa, that's so sick!
So what you're intended to do is go into that grandfather clock sub area where we went to the sundial portal, and climb all the way up through there and then go out through where like the cuckoo bird would normally come out. But we can just... There's also an elevator ride that you can take that's like way easier than the strat I just did, but that does save a couple of seconds. Alright, flashing lights warning for the rest of this heart. We're good for now, but essentially once I turn on this TV, it'll be kind of staticky and gross looking. So I will let you all know when the warning is over. But essentially we're playing Breakout here for a second, and we got unlucky, unfortunately. It either goes left or right. You want it to go left, but after it goes right and into the pit, it will always go left on the subsequent one. It's pretty... So even if, like, you lose the coin flip, it is still faster to let it fall into the pit and just sort of do this. And yeah, so now we're playing Breakout. This game just has so many ideas. This game brings me so much joy with just how ambitious it was. I think based on interviews / conversations I read through the Discord, like, they originally wanted to make this like full open world, so like, weirdly enough, like a lot of certain areas like, you know, Timberdale or Neverglaze or another area we'll see in a little bit called Below, were all kind of meant to sort of like feed into each other a lot more directly. But it ended up not working out that way. And so there's certain sub areas as well that look very out of place because they were intended to be part of these other large open world spots, but they just had to be put somewhere, right? All right. So this is the strat I was trying to go for, but didn't have the rage for. So we do that wall jump up there to get just a little bit of extra height, and that kind of skips what you saw me do with doing those like wall jumps up the back of the TV. And then right here we go up, and you got to be very careful because usually those enemies are aggroed on you by the time you get up here. And then this is the heart that terrifies people, which is soul jars. I went ahead and pressed ooh, there we go. Okay, so one of the cool things about rage jumping is that if you make a mistake, you have a get out of jail free card with the rage jump mechanic. But now that means I won't have it here in a little bit. So I'll have to kind of wait on the platform to get back up. Okay, there we go. We managed to get through that just fine. So that is basically tilting back and forth the entire time. It's really, really sketch. And normally it does this like weird fixed camera angle stuff that's really jank. So I actually intentionally hit the Y button in order to sort of regain control of the camera so that I can get back some semblance of free will. And that's going to be the end of TPM. And now we're going into the below, which has a very interesting strat. I'm actually going to be doing an instance of RNG manipulation. So it's going to look like I'm just walking forward. But this is very, very important because we are going to be rematching Sumo here in a second. And there's an attack we really want him to not do. And so by entering his like sub area load zone at a specific time, we basically hit like a cluster of RNG values that on average will give us the result that we want. We basically are trying to delay him from doing a desperation move. And if we succeed, we'll save about 30 seconds or so. If we don't, I'll be kind of sad, but we can just do the fight as is. So that movement looked good. You actually don't want to do the long jump movement there, leaving through that portal. Otherwise, you will not get the manip. Very, very interesting. All right, we'll see if we get it in just a moment. Okay, so he did give us the fist pump, unfortunately, which like loses like a second, but we got the manip. So normally he does like this attack where he cracks his knuckles and then just does telekinesis rocks at us, but with the RNG manipulation, we were able to avoid that successfully. And then with the rest of these, we can manually manipulate him by having him do those belly bump attacks. That'll get him close enough to the ledge so that we can just kind of rinse and repeat for the rest of these. But on each subsequent phase, he moves just a little bit faster. So for these last two, just to make sure that I don't completely fumble the bag here, I'm just going to focus for a second. Okay, he almost got me there, but we're good. He gave me another one of those like beating on my chest emotes. But we should be good here in just a moment, hopefully. Yeah, you want to be very careful not to long jump this way as well, because if you do, you will get hit. You need to just walk. It's very unintuitive if, like, you know, you're learning other stuff in the game. You also see that I uppercutted there a lot. We don't use the uppercut very often for movement, but in some short bursts, the spacing like works out just enough. Where it's like, oh, I do an uppercut right into a heart. Places like that, it's really helpful. It just has a lot of end lag at the end. So unless we're using it to like hit an enemy to get our rage back, or for some other niche purpose, then we'll do it. Okay, now we're gonna head into the volcano area. This is kind of one of those areas I was just talking about that was kind of meant to be part of this like lava world, but kind of got orphaned as a result of the game needing to get like released under time constraints. So very strange lava volcano world that we're in right now. We're gonna go to the top of the sub area first. There's gonna be two that we're getting here. Go ahead and, ooh. So you saw right there actually a little bit, I collided with the floater a bit mid-air. And that might mess with my cycle. Okay, no, we're still fine. So most like platform cycles in this game are what are called local cycles. So they typically only start moving once you are close enough to like load that object into like the game's draw distance. So not every little piece of movement will impact cycles in this game. So everything's technically local cycles, right? But some are functionally global cycles because certain things are always loaded in, right? All right, and then hopefully here, we just go ahead and get the heart just like that. All right, it was a little rough, but we'll take it. I was just a little off to the left there, but there we go. Okay.
It's all good.
I mean, it's all right. But yeah, I'll mention y'all as well. If y'all have any questions about any of the stuff I'm doing, feel free to ask Satan. I don't know if we had anyone with any questions so far, or maybe there's any questions that you might have as we make our way to the next objective here. But yeah, let's keep sick.
I guess it is really sick.
To reply to chat.
One question.
Yeah, what's up?
We did have one question from chat, which was, what's your favorite Shadow Wraith heart just in the whole game? Because we know you're routing 100%. So we have folks wondering about that.
Yeah, so the soldiers we did in Neverglades is up there. I also really like, and we'll see it later as well in the speedrun, A lot of the stuff we'll be doing in Frostblight Mill, the second to last world, is really cool. My favorite in Hundo that we don't see is called totems. It's like these 3 totems that you have to put on pedestals in Neverglades. And that makes use of a really cool glitch with the wingsuit that we don't see anywhere else. And then this one we're about to do is also up there on that list, because this takes a part of the game that I hated casually and flips it on its head. What I'm going to do is get into a very precise spot and then do a rage jump in such a way where as I'm going up, I hit the side of the trigger. And then as I'm falling, I'll hit it again through the top. This spawns 2 sets of cannonballs because it triggers the cutscene twice, essentially allowing us to instantly skip this minigame. So sick. So normally
that's amazing.
So those pirates back there are normally shooting all these cannonballs, trying to turn those tiles a specific color and be sort of the antagonist there. But we were able to just completely ignore that. So that was really, really good. That's another section where if you fail it the wrong way and accidentally get like a long jump instead of a high jump, you don't have the ability to cancel your rage in time. So you'll just lose your entire rage meter, and it can kill runs, unfortunately. But now we're going to do soul jars. So the way soul jars is supposed to work for the below is that they're all located like outside of the main like aquadome of this area. And you're intended to take these different tunnels and swim between them in order to get in here. However, because of rage jumping and the way that they structured some of these outdoor areas, we don't have to do that at all. I'm going to do a ground pound here to fix my camera so I can then do a fakey fireball to get up and out of bounds and then get back in bounds on the other side. This will also cause this floater to not trigger its AI right away, so I can get a really quick... Okay, so that was almost extremely bad. So there's like a weird slope interaction that happens right there that almost just caused me to fall to my doom, but I managed to use a rage jump in order to save myself. Whenever you're on a surface that like considers it to be like a slide, you have a much more limited degree of movement, and that'll come up a lot later as well. Another example of a rage jump right there to get up and over here. That one has a lot less of a height requirement. And then, unfortunately for this guy, he has our last one, so we're gonna hit him in the old Newton's Cradle, and that's gonna give us Soul Jar number 6. So, fun gaming fact, we have a category on the leaderboard that is called Troll Tag, where the goal of the speedrun is to do that to that troll from a fresh save as quickly as possible. And if you're at all interested in getting into this game as a speedrun, highly recommend starting there. It's kind of, weirdly enough, like our game's 16-star. And it's a lot more accessible, a lot more reps on a lot of the like early game hearts, and it's just a really great way to build up fundamentals. But as we were doing that as well, we were also activating the sundial so that we can go do another sundial. For those who are just joining us, those are kind of like this game's equivalent to the Mario Sunshine secret courses. Except we may not have flood, but we have rage jumping. So we're gonna head into here, and then the portal will be there, and then there's gonna be kind of... This is always, like, especially when you're learning the run, kind of a very scary heart. At least when you're learning any percent. If you're doing Troll Tag, you've finished the run by now, thankfully. But we're gonna be using that force field right there to kind of skip the intended way around here. But what you're seeing me do, there's all these things that are trying to crush you. I almost just fell to my doom. I got a horrible camera angle there. But essentially, I bait the crusher platform into trying to squish me. And then I long jump out from underneath it, do a ground pound to stall myself midair, and then flip kick onto the little molding on the edge to essentially allow myself to bypass it. Alright, and then we're going to kick that guy in the head right there. That's going to get our rage meter refilled. You're supposed to fight those two guys. There, you can see the door there. They did not make the collision for the door big enough, so we can literally just jump around it. I am not joking when I say that strat is easy, and anyone watching this stream right now can learn how to do that jump. And then this is a really funny one. We're going to bait the crusher into activating so that we can rage jump on top of it and just... You can see the hitbox for it is just very strange, too. And that's going to be the sundial. Nice.
Wow. Nice. What a gauntlet.
Yeah. And that's like not even like it. don't even know if that's in the front half of more difficult spots in the run. Like, that's just how, like, high the skill ceiling can be on this game, where it's just like, yeah, that looked hard. Wait till we get to Citadel of Shadows. You know? Not to, like, you know, I don't want to oversell it in the sense of, like, oh, this game is unconquerable. Absolutely not. You know, it's like, this is very much what I would call a forever game, where if you really wanted to, you could spend the rest of your life finding little ways to optimize, improve, or find little things to make your runs faster, because there's just so much depth to the movement tools and to the mechanics, right? So like right there, for example, there's a little uppercut that I do to get that guy to slow down, and then we have a pretty tricky rage jump where I kind of need a very good height in order to clear that gap, and then I kind of do a weird sort of run where, oh, right there. So right there, what I did is I made use of the ground pound. So in addition to our rage jump like stuff, we have two other mid-air resources that I've been using throughout the run. One is that flip kick, like from Pac-Man World 2, and the other is the ground pound. And the ground pound, usually the way we do it is if we need extra mid-air height, we'll do ground pound and then flip kick. Because the flip kick allows us to have a lot of aerial drift after you use it. The reason why I did the opposite and ended with the ground pound is because it will actually give you what's called magnet hands and auto ledge grab you from much lower than you're normally able to. So that gives me actually more height to get up there and be able to skip that entire section. All right, so now we're going to head to maybe, I don't want to say it's a noob killer because it still even gets me. But a little bit of a motion sickness warning here for this next part. This is called Upside Down. It's exactly what it sounds like on the tin. We are going to be going upside down mode here. I will let you all know when it's over. And before you ask, yes, the controls are inverted. So I'm gonna lock in here for a second. Yep, there we go. So you have to land on all of those platforms. And then, if you do it quickly enough, you can also get the heart.
Inverted controls mess with my brain so hard. This is really impressive to see.
Yeah, that, I want to say I spent at least 2 solid hours learning that heart for the first time. Because it's just
that tracks.
So different than like anything else in the game. But why? Great question.
Many idea. Put them all in game.
Exactly. Speaking of but why, now we're going to get, in the speedrun, probably the easiest hurt to get in the game, which is, so you see this giant fish creature. Hey, creature corner. We're gonna go swim up to his face, and he's gonna yoink. But we're not dead. It's okay.
This is gonna out in the creature. It's all good.
Yeah, and so we're gonna interact with this. And so we're gonna open a chest and get a heart. So there's a password combination on that is the same every time. It's AXB, at least on the GameCube version. Satan, how do you think you're supposed to find that combination?
AXB. Okay, this was back in the era where they were still doing like a bunch of little things in the box in the manuals. So maybe did you have to read the physical manuals?
You are actually correct. It is on page 18 of the game's instruction manual.
Yes!
W. Holy crap. Wow.
Genuine guess, by the way. I've never heard this fact. This was like awesome. 2004. I know what they're gonna do.
Yep. So now, be me, a speedrunner who wanted to try the game casually first, who picked up a loose disc and had no idea how to find that password combination. Anywho, we are now in Dagger Crag, which has a bunch of cool stuff in here. The first thing we're going to do is called something called Stealing from the Monk. So there's an objective at the very top of this level where you have to break this glass dome and then fall into a Wraith Heart. You can kind of see it partially above this monk guy here, and we'll see him again in a little bit and actually do his side mission. But there's basically 2 copies of this Wraith Heart. There's one in the intended spot and kind of like this decorative copy. With this decorative copy, can still be collected. And so I mentioned earlier that we are actually going to play without the memory card plugged in. And so if we turn off autosaving, it actually glitches the game and doesn't distinguish between that copy of the Wraith Heart and the copy of the Wraith Heart at the very top of the map. So later on, essentially, when I go to the top of that glass dome, I'll get that same Wraith Heart, but again. And so we've essentially duplicated a Wraith Heart by doing that. And so that's the big reason for the longest time everyone ran on GameCube, was because we didn't really have a way on the Xbox version to unplug the memory card to prevent autosaves. But I'll explain after this how I did that. I have to do a rage long jump, and so this requires a bit of a different input in order to get this successfully here. So we're gonna wait for... Oh, he didn't even see me. Nice. Okay, I got very lucky there. And that's going to be a free 2-second gold because of it. So normally I have to wait around for that floater and at least aggro him and attack it to force it out of the way. Because even if it doesn't hit me, it's still aggro, like it still has a hitbox that I can bump into. But that sub area, right? You're supposed to, it's a combat sub area. We're supposed to defeat all these enemies, and then the less enemies that are on the platform, the less there are to weigh it down, and then you can use that to get up to the top of the sub area, right? But we can just use the rage long jump there, and you have to use a long jump there, otherwise you bonk your head on the ceiling and you can't get to the heart. All right. So very cool puzzle casually that's going to be absolutely disgraced by a single rage jump. You're supposed to figure out what order of those to break in order to be like, oh, now I can get the heart. But we just bypassed it entirely. Oh yeah, fun fact, I was talking a little bit about the heart dupe as well. Or wait, no, actually, I'll talk about that when we actually perform the dupe. I forgot that I found a new strat for the soul jars in this level, so I should probably talk about that a little bit. So we're going to be kind of doing the opening that we've been doing a lot in Dagger Crag, where we kind of go off to the left here, uppercut this guy so that we can do a rage jump on top of this window, and then do another one of those ground pounds to snap ourselves to the ledge. And so, again, these soul jars, kind of like the red coin missions. Okay, a little awkward, so I'm going to need your juices. There we go. Because I am throwing in a bit of a deviated route now. So we go ahead and get this on the way back, and then we're going to do kind of a late rage jump here to get up to here. Go ahead and kick that guy in the head, because we'll need to do a fakie here in a second. Get that right here. And so that skips basically a really slow run around and elevator ride in order to get all the way back up here. So, and then if you're quick enough, you can get that. Okay, there we go. So unfortunately, because
camera angles are brutal.
Yeah. So let's say it's about 4 seconds. So I didn't. I could have golded that if I didn't accidentally have to spend my rage to save myself there. But again, that's how this game works sometimes. Sometimes you have to spend those resources to recover, and then it's not even know the backup. It's come up with a backup on the fly that doesn't lose you too much time. So like right here for
I love that there's a movement option in this game you can use to recover and to do really cool strats, that you can also recover the movement option on the fly by figuring it out. That's really, really cool.
Yeah. It makes it really, really dynamic and fun, and that's why I just like it's so hard for me not to come back, you know? Like All right, so now we gotta save the monk. So this is like the one time we actually have to do combat, unfortunately. So basically, the floaters will die in one hit, and there's all these secret guys, actually. I'm gonna try to get basically the tentacle monsters taken care of as quickly as possible first, and try to knock some of these guys in the pits if I can help it. But all these tentacle guys spawn in a specific order, so you have to do them like that. Okay, there we go. And now we can go ahead and save the monk. That was an awful camera angle, game. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Fun fact, if you get a perfectly spaced long jump going into this cutscene, you can long jump close enough to him where he disappears mid-cutscene and it looks really strange. All right, so now we're gonna actually go and do that heart dupe, if you will. But we're not gonna do the normal movement route because we want to do the sundial challenge here as well. So we need to set the sundial in advance. And the way this is kind of routed is around a concept of something that we're trying to avoid called the sundial glitch. Whenever you go into like a loading zone mid-level, like a sub area, for example, there's a chance that it will just kind of break the day of time, or the time of day, and sort of reset it to a default value, even after using sort of like the sundial thing. So I have to route it in such a way that anytime I set the time manually like this, I immediately do the sundial the next heart after. And I have to avoid doing any hearts that would take me into a sub area, which doesn't guarantee that the glitch would occur, but it makes it like infinitely more likely. Right. We're gonna do a rage jump up here, and then we can catch that cycle just like that. Nice. Wow. And cool strat that I found actually is that you don't have to take the pull. You can just climb up the side of this. It's really neat.
Oh, cool.
If I can actually climb the side of it. And you can see the heart is right there. We get sucked right into it. And we're good.
Beautiful. Speaking of finding things, Jaxler, how did you find this game?
Great question. So I can't remember what game I was running at the time, but a speedrunner friend of mine named Peanut, who's really, really cool PlayStation speedrunner, did, I believe, the PS4 remake of the first Ratchet game during the online era of GDQ. Really, really cool dude. Basically saw me, I think, playing, can't really remember which game it was. It might have been Whiplash. And was like, oh, if you like Whiplash, you would really, really like Vexx. And I was like, okay, you know my tastes, I believe you. And then I proceeded to play Vexx and fall in love with it. That's kind of the beautiful thing about not only running obscure games, but also having friends who also run obscure games, is they can connect you with some truly cool stuff that you might not have been able to hear about otherwise. So you're gonna see another ledge snap right there where you can kind of see I almost like magnetized to that ledge, right? And that's because of using that ground pound in order to get myself there. So unfortunately I didn't make that first cycle, but we can do the backup, and then instead of taking the pull, we're gonna rage jump. You know the drill by now.
Very nice. Yeah, speedrunner friends can be very cool.
There we go. Nice. Okay. Fortunately, I whipped the heart on the way up, but we will take that. Yeah, so somebody also asked as well if like the sundial glitch is truly random. It's mitigatable. So it's like, it's one of those things where if you knowingly avoid like triggering loading zones or like and stuff like that, you can mostly avoid it. It still is rarely possible just because, you know, video game from 2003, 2004 era, right? But basically, it almost never happens if you take the precautions that I did. But it becomes more and more random and likely to occur the more in-level loading zones you take. Alright, so this is the mummy mini-boss. And so essentially what I'm doing here, like speed strat-wise, is just long jumping around the arena. Because normally he's so fast that he would just kind of follow you and sort of roll off the edge. And then he has this attack that he does that where he bounces around the arena. And that makes him take longer to get into his vulnerable state. So by doing these extended long jumps, where again, I'm pressing jump and then within 1 to 4 frames, crouching to get a regular jump combined with the long jump speed, I can use that to circle around the arena fast enough where he just does his regular roll. And then we'll rinse and repeat one more time, and that'll be the end of Dagger Crag. So really, really solid Dagger Crag, all things considered. So Satan, I don't know if you had any like further questions from yourself or the chat, or if you had anything you wanted to plug, but we got a little bit here while we're kind of just chilling with our friend the Mummy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I kind of have a hybrid announcement and question.
Yeah.
And the announcement, of course, is for Gamescom, which is a really cool event that we have taking place August 28th to the 30th, live in Cologne, Germany. So this is our first ever international marathon. Really exciting. You can visit gamestime.global for more info about the event and check out gdq.gg/schedule/Gamescom to see what runs we will be featuring at our first European event. And Jaxler, I wanted to ask, have you seen that schedule? And if so, do you have anything you're looking forward to it?
I saw it when it came out, and it's been a little bit, so I'm a little fuzzy. But I want to give a huge shout out to my friend Caspi, who's going to be showing off Ultros, which is a really, really cool Metroidvania run, so you're not going to want to miss that one. That's like my run to watch for that schedule.
Yeah, for sure. That's on the first day. For me, it would probably be Mario Kart DS, the opener.
Oh, yeah, I completely forgot.
That's going to be so great. There's so much good stuff. Absolutely check out that schedule. Silk Song, Donkey Kong Country, Celeste, Pokemon, Mario 64, Blade 2. It's just ridiculous. Continue.
Yeah, sorry, I was gaming a little bit.
Oh, you're good. So, you are locked in.
Yep. So, interestingly enough, this is like heading towards a sub area that low-key might not exist in the route in a few years, because of the fact that we basically had to do all that platforming at the start here. We're in some of the stages, by the way. This is the third to last world. This is where the game gets really, really hard. If you thought all the stuff I had done up until this point was really tricky and impressive, just wait. Some of the stages is a really humbling experience, and we even have, and like the last two worlds in particular are just nightmare fuel. In like the most positive way I can call something nightmare fuel. So we're gonna attempt to do the soul jars section of this level, but weirdly okay. So I have one shot to go for this. It's a pretty tough strat, and if I feel it the wrong way, the run is over, essentially. But it's really sick. It's called No Dice, and I'll explain why it is called that, hopefully after I hit the strat. I need just a second to lock in here, y'all, so bear with me. Yes, let's go. We got it. Okay. So nice. The way that's supposed to work is there's a cube that rises up, and there's a mini area, basically, like, it's like the TARDIS, where it's bigger on the inside. And there's a soul jar on the inside of each of the faces of that cube. That might actually, someone asked earlier what my favorite heart is. Casually, that might be my favorite heart. Where there's basically, you have to press a button to rotate this cube. And every time you rotate it, you get access to a different soul jar. But because you're rotating it, it changes how all the platforms work in relationship to one another. And it's really, really cool, except the heart is active. So what you have to do is essentially rage jump to the heart, and if you're not careful and you miss the rage heart, but pick it up as the cube spawns in, you'll get the rage heart, but you'll get soft, or the rage heart, the rage heart, but you'll get soft locked. So really, really scary section right there. But now we're just going into what I would all right, Vexx, that was a little strange looking.
Intriguing.
To me, just kind of a classic movement section, where we're going to see another one of those fakey fireballs. Again, if you're just tuning in, essentially what a fakey fireball is oh, I mid-cycle, nice. Is essentially, so we're doing these rage jumps to get mid-air jumps, and you can use the fireball from the rage install to get a mid-air jump, right? But if you shoot the fireball within a quick enough window of activating rage meter, it doesn't cost any rage at all. So it makes it a bit more efficient for us. And so we do one rage meter there, and then we do the rest of that section rageless, and then we can just go ahead and high jump into that, and we're good to go.
I do like this not so subtle booger joke there.
Yeah.
That right under the nose.
It's really tragic too, because that right there is another one of those hearts which looks like you should be able to collect it, but it doesn't collect until you've exited the sub area for the first time. Which is a little sad, but how it goes sometimes. Alright, now we're gonna head to, this might be one of my favorite movement sections in the run when done perfectly. We're doing what I call rising water buttons, where the way this sub area is supposed to work is you have to like platform around and find some switch that raises the water level, which changes the platforms you interact with. we're going to try to only do this by hitting one of those two buttons, or one of those several buttons, not even two, several buttons. I think there's like 4 or 5. So you see the arrow right there, that's one of the buttons it's trying to direct us to, but that one's slow, so we're gonna do a rage jump here to get up to here. And by hitting that water level, it'll kind of just skip the previous step as well, so we don't even need to worry about that initial button. And then hopefully, with my movement here, I should be able to grab this floater, kick him in the head. Okay, so we're gonna, unfortunately, I did the crouch input a little too late. Ooh, and we're gonna fall. Okay. Give me a second here to make this up. I'm on a weird off cycle now, and again, this is what happens when you have to adjust.
You got this.
The frame rate can also get really choppy through there. So now we're gonna wait for this floater to get over here. And then this is the fun part. Yes, let's go.
Oh my gosh.
So when you complete the sub area, you're supposed to completely flood the room and then swim into that Wraith Heart. But with a extended high jump out of the air geyser into a rage jump into a fakey fireball, you can get that heart just barely. Hell yeah. All right.
Very nice.
So another little bit of flashing lights warning, just because there's this kind of strong particle effect that plays. We're going to be swimming through some more water rings to unlock another sub area for a pretty quick Wraith Heart, so I'll let you know when we're through all the rings. But we're going to be doing another strat that is actually quite similar to what we did at the very start of the run, where I'm going to extended high jump, ground pound, and then flip kick to get into that ring from the bottom instead of falling through it from the top, just like that. And now we're going to swim for a little bit, so funnily enough, swimming, I believe, is actually the fastest way to move around laterally, which is kind of wild. Oh, I need this ring. I forgot.
I was actually just about to ask.
Yep, I almost forgot. So that ring right there, I confused it with the previous one because we actually saved that one as our final ring. Because if we continue to hold down the swim button after we swim through this ring, then we'll continue to swim during this opening cutscene. So this will put us right in front of this door, and then we'll have to hopefully swim a little too far past it. Lobster was just a little too buttery. There we go. Okay. And so now we just got some really fun moves. You'll be seeing me kind of cancel my extended high jump a little early, actually. I didn't want to use my rage jump there, but it's fine if I do. Nice. So I'm looking for a wall jump there, actually, so I can preserve my rage, so I don't have to use it later. Again, if you don't need to use your rage, then why use it, right? So just little efficiency things like that. And it's going to be really nice as well, because this is going to allow me to avoid having to slow down my movement chains and take one of those imps in the face on my way back to the sub area where we did the no dice strat. Oh, I guess I should mention as well, it's called no dice because it's a D6. So it's called no dice because you don't interact with the die. Oh, I never mentioned as well, I was going to explain when we were doing the heart dupe, right? I mentioned that for the longest time we couldn't do it on the Xbox version, but I actually found a way to do it. And the way that you do it is actually by filling up the OG Xbox hard drive to the max, to the point where it doesn't have enough room to create a new save file. And then it will prevent auto-saving from happening, allowing you to do the heart dupe on Xbox. That's actually the biggest reason why no one had messed around with the Xbox version and why the infinite mid-air high jumps had gone undiscovered for so long, was because people just presumed it would be slower, because that heart dupe basically cuts out a really, really slow heart. Because basically the longest heart in the run is probably the 100 coin mission we did in Dragon Reach. At like, and the only reason that one's efficient enough to do for our route is because we also unlock wingsuit while we're doing it. So we kind of are already going towards all those shards anyway. So this is the other sub objective we need to do. We just had to solve the puzzle there with those switches, and then we're doing another kind of like 2D and 3D sort of thing with this maze, but I'm actually not going to long jump in here because, fun fact, it's a little slower in here. Not really sure why, but it is. Fun gaming text with Jaxler 1.
Yeah, I assume you can't jump over all the walls in that maze.
No, unfortunately not. You just bonk your head. You can still long jump, but you don't get as much speed because you do bonk your head. And now we're going to be doing a really silly strat. So this Wraith Heart actually belongs to Tempest Peak Manor from way earlier. Essentially, there's like a sink faucet in Tempest Peak Manor that you're supposed to go down the drain, essentially, and then it puts you like out into that like little spot over there with that glowing Wraith Heart. But it turns out that the underside of this grate is not solid. So you can just do that and get the Wraith Heart.
Oh, look at that. It's like the reverse of the owl from Super Mario 64.
Exactly. It's reverse owlless. Alright, so that's some of the stages. Now we head into Frostblight Mill. This is where the run gets really hard. But first we have a pretty chill strat, no pun intended, called skydiving. You're supposed to fly under the map and get this with the wingsuit, but that's really slow. We'll see the wingsuit, though, in a little bit, but... And there we go.
Nice.
Alright. So this part is really tough. So I'm attempting to get to the windmill slide sub area, and there is a global cycle, actually. A global simply because it's always loaded on the map, with that windmill in the back. And if I don't get up to the bridge quickly enough, it will blow me off the bridge, and I'll have to make my way all the way back up. So if I did this properly, we can take this air gust all the way up. Okay, so unfortunately, I got really unlucky. And we're gonna have to do that back up right there. This means I won't have rage to save myself if I mess this up. But we did mostly make the cycle. I just got a really weird camera angle that I very rarely get. So I just wasn't prepared for that scenario. But we saved it with rage, so we'll have another shot to go with that fast cycle. But this strat should look very familiar to anyone who's ever seen a Mario 64 speedrun, where we jump off the slide and make it to the end.
Nice.
And we're at
are these the same game?
So the devs will tell you that they were extremely inspired by Mario 64 in the development of it, but I'll raise you this: this game is better. I'm a very devout Mario 64 hater, although I will say the DS version is good. Mario 64 DS is the better version, and I will, if you want to disagree with me, either type in chat or YouTube comments for when this does go up on YouTube. But
true.
So true. So right here, this is one of my favorite movement sections just because of like how clean the long jump lines are here. So count with me here. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out the window. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my gosh, I actually gamed too hard and I missed it.
Aw, too much gaming.
So you know what I said with regards to long jumping spacing, right? And intentionally like cutting my own speed values? That's why you want to do that. So that's a little unfortunate. I can't remember the last time I made that mistake, but hey, because this sub area is pretty short, it's not that costly, thankfully.
Richard is calling you out in the chat for being one of the relay runners and discovering a strat. So
air strafing, right? Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right, this might single-handedly be my favorite split in the game. It's extremely difficult because at the very start here, we're going to be going for that cycle again, and then on top of that, we have maybe one of my favorite like exploits in the game with the wingsuit. So give me a second here to cook. Yeah, so you see how I almost got pushed off right there? I barely made the cycle. So that's the first part. And now we're gonna grab the wingsuit and fly down to one of those other air vents and then ground pound. What this will let me do is hold backwards on the stick and catch the air gust way higher than I'm ever supposed to be able to take it. So I don't know if you can see all that platforming down there, but that's what you're intended to do to get all the way up here. And it's all these like cycle-based flipping platforms that you have to wait on and take forever. And there's like no enemies that you could use to refresh your rage meter. But now we're basically all the way at the top already.
Wow.
And a little rage long jump there for swag. That was extremely good.
Woo!
All right.
Heck yeah.
Bang. Alrighty.
Bang.
Yeah, no, Frostbite Mill, really, really tough, but when it all comes together, it just has some of the coolest strats in the run. Like this one we're going to do. So, this will be very familiar if you remember what we did for Grandfather Clock. So you see that giant windmill? There's a sub area in there that you're supposed to climb up. I don't remember how to do that platforming, so we're going to skip it. So we're going to take this all the way up here and hopefully kick this guy in the head so he doesn't annoy me. I missed him. There we go. And so what we're going to do is we're going to wait here for just a second and... Okay, didn't want to use my rage there, but that's fine. We'll try this again. You can kind of start to see what I'm going for here a little bit. There we go. So we're just going to ride this all the way to the top. Long jump off at the apex.
That made me nervous.
And get the race camera. Just like that. There we go.
Camera, oh camera.
Yeah, there's a little cutscene that reveals the heart there when you get close enough to it. I was trying to long jump through the cutscene, but I again got hit with a weird camera angle. And that's windmill skip. Yay!
Nice.
Alright, we have maybe the most inconsistent / frustrating heart in the entire game coming up here. I'm gonna go ahead and kick this guy in the head. Just because I didn't mean to spend my... Oh, this guy right there. I could have done it off of... Okay, let's see if I can hit this. Nice. So you can catch...
A lot of kicking guys in the head.
Yeah.
Public menace. Continue.
Yeah, so you get to ride that air current to skip all the platforming to get up to the sub area. And now we have snowball chest keys, which is by far the most random part of the entire run, I'd say. There's going to be these snowballs that fall from the sky. And we need to throw... Oh, and like stuff like that can happen. And they spawn randomly. So we need to hit 3 of them into these frozen keys in order to unlock the chest with the Wraith Heart. Hopefully they cooperate. We'll see. You can kind of slightly like manipulate where they land based on where you're standing. Okay, that's a very good spot for one. And then we're gonna go for kind of a skip where we jump and then throw the snowball, and that launches it way further than you're supposed to be able to. And that lets us snipe that one from all the way over there. And then I got a very, very nice placement right there. And that was actually really, really good luck. I didn't have to wait around.
Wow.
Sometimes you can just have to wait around for the snowballs forever. And it's really annoying. So that was pretty good. And then we just got one more little rage jump. And there we go. Oh, that's good to gold. Nice. Okay, that was good enough luck to gold. Nice. Okay.
All right. Thank you, snowballs. Let's go.
All right, gamers. We've got a little bit of a reprieve. This is the last time we'll see the rock suit. I didn't really explain the rock suit when I was using it earlier because it's not all that complicated. Essentially, you go into this altered state where you can't jump very high, but you're invincible, and you can gain grounded speed really quickly and break through things made of glass and ice. We're going to be doing that one more time through here, but we're able to do some platforming to skip all of the uses of the rock suit that you're intended to do in this section. But this is kind of the last reprieve before the difficulty curve of the game, like, just exponentially increases for no reason in the final world called Citadel of Shadows. For our last few hearts. Boy howdy, it's tough, but we'll be fine. We'll have a great time, totally. I'm just gonna go ahead and state, going into the Citadel of Shadows, there's kind of 5 hearts. There's what's called left path, right path, 2 down center path, and then 1 in a sub area underneath the starting area. The last one, really not that bad. Left path might be like one of the most difficult cycles in the entire game that I'm gonna try to show off. So we'll see how it goes. Just an absolute backbreaker of a level. I'm going to probably just go nonverbal at the function here just because of it. You'll probably understand once you see what I'm up against here. almost got owned there. Yeah, see what I mean? So I made the cycle I was going for, which is cool. But I got just the worst camera angle of all time. Yeah, like, look at this. Compared to all the other, like, platforming and level design you've seen in the game, like, just evil.
Yeah, that camera is actively working to sabotage you.
Yeah.
Very, very evil.
And then we've got all these spinning platforms, which look sketchy, but basically the way you can kind of think about those platforms is by the time you long jump off of one of those, like, spoon saucer things, the next one in the cycle will roughly be where you were standing. So you just long jump forward. It looks like you need to adjust, but you actually don't. And then for this one, there's kind of an optional cycle I can hit here that's really swag if I hit it. We'll see. Okay, I kind of partially hit it. So basically, instead of, yeah, I just spent the rage there. But basically, you want to avoid the poles because long jumping is faster, so you can kind of use the base that those poles are resting upon as long jump targets. And then those little sweeper things are electrified, by the way, so you gotta be very careful. And then you have this nightmare of a rotating platform. And that's right path. So if you thought those were hard, middle path is even harder. And we have to do it twice. Oh, no, okay. What's like a gold on right path? Okay. Okay. Okay, me.
Wow.
Yeah. So you might have been able to see them earlier, but there's these spinning rings in the background that are electrified. You touch them, you probably just instantly die. You can maybe recover, but... Alright. Focus mode. And then we'll skip all those awful platforms right there and go... Okay, so that's the first round done. Oof. And then basically we just kind of hang around in this little sub area right here. Wait on a set cycle, and then we can kind of jump to one of these early to get the heart early.
Nice.
Okay.
Which is the most evil blue onion ring, chat? Those rings or the Super Metroid rings? Because I think they're both very evil.
All right. So we're gonna do middle path again. So
more onion rings.
More onion rings. I'm gonna lock in here because if I, okay. So we kick that guy in the head to reset our rage meter. Okay, here we go. I should have gotten hit like 3 times there, but I got extremely lucky. Oh my god. Okay. All right. Whew.
Yeah, chat's saying at least you can.
Oh my god. Okay, here we go. That is deathless.
Nice
that is basically deathless Citadel, which is crazy. My PB did not have. My PB had, I believe, a death on each middle pass split. So we're gaming. And then thankfully this last heart is not nearly as stressful. All right.
Chat.
But we're not out of the woods yet because we are very, very ahead of my PB right now. / world record. But the any percent record has never had a specific skip landed successfully in it before called Yabu 1 phase skip. Or Yabu phase 1 skip. Where with maybe the most ridiculous like use of your rage resources of all time, you can glitch the first phase of the fight and save about 3 minutes, but you only get 1 shot at it. So I need to finish this level rageless, and then after that, we'll see how it goes. Essentially, it's going to start with me doing a long jump into rage long jump, and then I have to do a very difficult fireball jump to get around a cutscene trigger. And if we don't get it, it's okay because my PB doesn't even have it. But if we hit it, this run may go down in history. So, okay, gamers, this is the part where I've never had a run this good, low-key a run period, get to this point where I felt comfortable enough attempting the skip. But here we are. So, chat, send me your energy.
This. Chat, send Jaxler everything you've got. Whew.
Let's do this. If we don't hit it, no worries, again, because my PB doesn't have this trick. Okay, that's the first part. This is the hard part. Let's go! We got it! Yeah! Yes! Excellent! And so, what that's going to allow us to do is we aggro the boss before we're supposed to talk to him normally. He'll spawn a bunch of enemies, and now we trigger the cutscene on purpose. He'll spawn another wave immediately. And by having the double wave in the arena, as soon as we defeat all of these enemies, it will immediately go to phase 2. Holy crap! I cannot believe I hit that.
Let's go!
Alright, not out of the woods though, because for anyone who's played this casually, they will know just how dangerous phase 2 of Dark Yabu is. So yeah, no, we just go immediately into phase 1, or phase 2. Okay, gamers, so how this is gonna work is I'm gonna crouch in the middle, and he has a bunch of attacks he can do that I have to react very quickly to. So I'm gonna crouch in the center and then be ready to jump as soon as he's ready to hit me. Yep, and now he should be vulnerable soon. And so we kick him in the head, and then ground pound him. And that's once, and we gotta do that 4 more times.
Ooh. I'm holding my breath, and I'm sure Chad is too.
Yep. Now, so there's one specific attack that he does that makes him vulnerable. Okay. Starting this phase, he might also start to mix in fireballs, which we want to avoid as much as possible because they're pretty slow, but it's not really up to us. Good. Really fast third hit, holy crap. 2 more hits to go. Yeah, so some of his attacks also deal double damage as well, so we really only have a couple of hits to work with. So... Okay. Four. 5. And then he always does that immediately after, which is so rude. And it's worth noting as well, each phase, the window to damage him becomes smaller and smaller. It's on the last hit, it's actually unbelievably difficult to get him in time.
Aim is hard.
Yeah. Okay, fireballs is unfortunate. 3, 4, 5. And if you get close enough, he almost always does that. Got him! Yes! Okay. Phase 3. He's gonna summon a couple more guys. And then after we kill all of these guys, basically at this point in the story, our talons become like super gamer mode. And then he's gonna start doing the Ganondorf with the fireballs. So we have like 5 or 6 of these he's gonna do in a bit here. We're basically going through the motions at this point, and then when we reflect the final fireball back at him, that will be time. I'm just gonna...
Amazing stuff.
Yeah, I'm just gonna lock in here for a second.
Yep, and we'll all charge up the pop-off. Can I communicate something funny to you from chat?
Yeah, go ahead.
Richard says, can you believe Jaxler is about to get a world record in the Shadow Realm? Kinda real.
All right, this is second to last hit.
All right, let's go.
Get ready, and... Oh, hold on. Okay.
GG! Let's go!
That is a world record by 4 minutes. That is a 1:27:33, world's first ever sub 130 RTA. Oh my god, that run was great.
Woohoo! Let's go!
Let's freaking go. You were here! Let's go, baby. Oh my goodness gracious. G freaking G. Oh, you all want to see the splits? Hold on.
We gotta go.
Yeah, look at that.
Yay! Oh, wow.
And here's the crazy part, y'all. That's crazy improvable because of just the... I mean, you saw how Timberdale went. I've had splits where I have been 10 flat out of Timberdale. My Summit Best and, like, BPT, like, this game... I told you all, this is a forever game. Like, you could... There's so much room to improve, so many things I'm sure that are yet to be found. That feels really good. I have been struggle busting trying to get a PB like that for so freaking long, so... Thank you for the invitation. This was such good motivation for me to get back in the lab and finally do it. Oh, that feels really good. But yeah, that was Vexx Any %, brand new world record, y'all.
We should have known.
If you all enjoyed that, you can find me playing this game and many others at twitch.tv/Jaxler1. I tend to specialize in stuff that is more off the beaten path, stuff that you might not have heard of before, and I'm really glad I got the opportunity to show this game off just because this game is so cool. I feel like it doesn't get the credit it deserves, and the game disc could not be read. I don't know why my GameCube disc does this, but it does, so that's really funny. So yeah, that is Vexx Any %.